Parents of one of the children killed in a Clarksville, Montgomery County school bus crash have filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Our Lauren Lowry here with us today with what they're alleging in the suit, Lauren.
Yeah, so 13-year-old Arianna Pearson was one of the two students killed in the bus crash as the Clarksville students were headed to Jackson, Tennessee. Now, Pearson's parents are now suing the driver of that bus. The suit accuses Sabrina Dexworth of negligence, alleging that she failed to stay in her lane, maintain control, or may have been distracted or fatigued when the crash happened. The parents also allege the school system is responsible under different legal arguments of liability and claims of negligent hiring, training, supervision, and trust. The family's requesting a jury trial and damages of $5 million. Zoe Davis was the other student killed in the crash. Her family sued the school system and the district, filed an amended response to it. Now, in the filing, Clarksville Montgomery County Schools again denied liability, saying the driver suffered an unforeseeable sudden medical emergency. The district also argues it was not negligent and says if fault were split 50-50, state law could stop the family from receiving a payout. The district's asking the judge to dismiss the case. Now, both of these lawsuits are still pending at this point. No decisions have been made, but we're going to continue to follow it, Diana.